I wasn't planning on filming today. I got a commission for a larger painting. This canvas is 36 by 48, and they want the orientation to be horizontal as opposed to vertical. And they want mostly greens with a little bit of purple. So, and it's a young couple from Baltimore. And what I'm going to do today, and they do want to texturize, so I'm going to texturize this canvas. And I wasn't planning on filming it, but I thought, well, I may as well from the start, from the beginning right to the end. So that's what I'm going to be working on the next few videos, is this particular painting. And I normally use Liquitex Super Heavy Gesso as my texturizer. But with that said, I don't have enough. I only have about a half a jar, and it's not going to be enough for this. So I have decided to use Venetian plaster. And this is Venetian plaster in a gallon can size that you get at the hardware store. I think I got this one at Home Depot. I'll show you the can. It's Bear's Venetian plaster, and of course it's backwards for you, but it is Bear's Venetian plaster, their Premier Plus. So that's what I'm using. And you can use just about anything to put it on with. I'm going to start with this, and I usually put it on flat, but I can't film it flat. So I'm going to try to put it on this way. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of drips or whatever. Well, there goes some right now. And I always use, I don't texturize the whole thing, just part of it. I don't want it to have it too thick. I don't want it to crack. You can see what I'm doing. I normally would put a lot on my knife, but since it's hanging on the wall, I can't really do that. Be sure to put it on in many different directions, circular, straight. I have to remember to pick up all that stuff that's dropping off of my knife. It's starting to dry already. It's warm in here today. Believe it or not, it's setting up already. Amazing to me. If my peaks are too high, I do push them down a little bit. want to be sure to go out to the edge. You don't want all your edges to be without texture. This is how I always do my texturizing. However, I usually use, like I said, the Liquitex Super Heavy Gesso. I didn't have enough, so I decided to use this. Just about finished. Just making more texture now in a couple different directions. And I check it all. Yeah, I usually check it to see if I missed any areas. Use a little bit more right in here. And if I would put a line in it like that, I would go over part of it, because I don't want it to look like it was the last thing I did when I texturized. Again, I'm going to mess it up a little bit. Okay, kind of liking what I'm seeing. Just checking the edges to see if I have enough texture on the edges. This corner I did not come out the whole way because I've come out the whole way in all of the other corners. So I want one of the corners to be a little different. Okay, I'm liking it. I don't have much right there. Put a little bit. Okay. Now, I had a couple things that I could have used to put shapes into it, but I've decided not to. Well, let's do a little bit of it. Can't really see it. Here's another one. I'm just going to do it a little bit here and there, and then I will mess it up. Where else did I use it? Okay, and then I'm going to take a paper towel and just wipe the edges to be sure that I didn't go over my edge, because if it dries like that, then it's going to stay like that. You're going to end up having to sand it off. Okay, now this must dry for at least a day or two. And then if it cracks, what I'm going to do is I'll put matte medium over it to seal everything, which I might do anyway. So there's my texturizing, and what I'll do is I will bring you in closer so you can see exactly what I've done. I want to get a wet paper towel also to pick up those drips. So I am going to turn it off and then turn it back on again. Okay, this is what it looks like close up. You can see I've left a lot of spots with no texture. There's my one corner that I did not bring the whole way out. Well, I see one area that I have to fix. And you can see how thick I have it. I have to fix this spot right here. That spot. Because it's right in the middle of the canvas, lengthwise. So I'll just take my fingers over it. So that's what it looks like, and like I say, it needs to dry for about a day or two. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm getting ready to do this big one. It is a 48 by 36, so it's quite large. You've seen me texturize it with Venetian plaster. And after it dried, it did have a few cracks in it. That's the reason why I don't necessarily like to use Venetian plaster. I prefer the Liquitex super heavy gesso, but I didn't have enough. That's why I used the Venetian plaster. At any rate, it was cracked in a couple places. So what I did is I took some matte medium, Liquitex matte medium, over it. And I put 2 coats on. I let the first coat dry, and then I put a second coat on. And that sealed all the cracks. So now I'm getting ready to do a 1 color over the entire piece. And I will either use a brush or a sponge roller because I want to get down into all the nooks and crannies of the texture. So that's what I'm going to do now. So here goes. The sponge roller works rather well because it does get down in. And the color that I'm using is a burgundy color, which is like an alizarin crimson permanent. And I added some primary red to it to make it more rosy. I think I might have to use a brush. I'm going to put this away, get all the paint out of it, and use a brush. Yeah, that's going on easier. You want to make sure that you don't have any white showing. You want to get down into all those nooks and crannies of the texture. This takes a while to get it done. Put some more. If you keep water in your brush, keep it fairly wet, it goes a lot easier and quicker. What my client requested is a mostly green painting. It's going into their bedroom and is painted a very, very, very pale olive. And they want a soft, soothing painting to go in there. So, the reason why I chose this color is that it's a nice complement to green. I'm also going to put a little bit of purple in it, not much. And some Titan buff, some white beige, some grays. So this one you're seeing me start from the beginning. You can see why I'm using a brush, because you want to cover the entire surface with one color. Then that's going to give your painting harmony, because it's going to show through all over here and there. Very, very little of this is going to show. You want to use a wide brush, a big brush. You don't want to use a dinky little thing to do this. Sometimes I can use a foam roller, but there's a lot of texture on this. And it just wasn't working the way I wanted it to. Take it, and then you can take your brush in all kinds of directions so you get a good coverage. You can see where I first I was mixing up my colors with my palette knife, and the first color was burgundy, and I wiped my palette knife onto the canvas, and that's why you see these dark spots here and there. That's the initial burgundy that I used. Just about there. I have way too much paint mixed up. I'll save this. Maybe use it as a pop color or something later. Okay, what I do after I have the whole thing covered, I turn it upside down, because I'll see a lot of areas that I missed by just turning it upside down. And I do see areas. You probably can't see it on the screen, but I can see it. There's white spots sticking up here and there. That's actually texture. Okay. It is done. Now we just have to wait for it to dry. Then we'll start our painting. Thanks a lot. this will be part one, and I'll probably have at least 4 parts until this is finished. So we'll see. Until next time, thanks.